ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the brand new Ray White, Kemeys Brothers podcast, now selling, with myself, Chip McCabe, and my co-host for this and all future episodes of this podcast, Mr. Ryan Baker. Now, before you start, Ryan, a man such as yourself does need an introduction. So I made some notes.
Thank you, Chip.
You're most welcome. Here we go.
Excited to hear this.
I put a lot of work into this. It's a little bit of homework before we started today, because you got to set the standard. Okay, yep. We're here to talk all things real estate, and who better to have here than a real estate superstar? Here we go. In only a short amount of time in the real estate industry, he has amassed over 100 million in completed sales, achieving the prestigious premier agent status not once but twice within the Ray White Real Estate Network, the largest real estate agency in Australasia. In doing so, he's been placed in the top 10% of salespeople in both New Zealand and Australia. He is a tried and true Wellingtonian, a dynamic businessman. He's playing off a 12 handicap.
Oh, about a 16.
16, but we'll 12, 13. He's not just one of my best mates. He is my brother, the one and only Ryan Baker. How are you, mate?
Good, mate, good. What an introduction. Thank you, Chip. You're too kind.
Mate, we've been talking about this for a long time, and I'm super excited to finally, let's call it what it is. We're here, Ray White, Kemeys Brothers, Lower Hutt. As I said, you're a Wellingtonian through and through. We've been having a look out there at what's going on, obviously, not just in the market, but in terms of the information buyers and sellers are getting. We're now starting our very own podcast. It's the first of its kind that I know of.
Yep.
And it's soon to be the best, mate. But tell me a couple of things while these raging V8s go past us down here on the corner of Cuba and Jackson Street. Tell us a few things, mate. Like, the audience wants to know, like, a bit of a background. How did you get into real estate? What were you doing beforehand? You've been doing this for 5 years now?
Yeah, so this October's the fifth year, yeah. Yep.
Excellent.
Yep.
So,
heading into my 6th year, I guess, starting the 6th year. So, yeah, 5 years now, mate. So
and what were you doing before you started in the wonderful world of real estate?
I mean, I left school and went out and started working at Turner's Car Auctions.
Oh, mate.
So that was a bit of a blast. I was there for a couple of years, setting up for auctions, phone bidding, all that kind of thing. So really like that sales side of things again. And then I actually ended up transitioning into the family business.
Of course.
PBT Transport.
Shout out to PBT Transport.
PBT, mate, yeah.
Give the people, a lot of people might not know about PBT, so just a real brief one. The name was Peter Baker?
Peter Baker Transport is my uncle. He lives up in Auckland. He's a bloody legend.
Absolutely. Couple of good nights on the old Raz with him.
Oh, yeah, mate, yeah. I mean, he's a hard worker. He built his business up from one truck to, 26 branches nationwide, did very, very well for himself. Worked very, very hard at it as well, though.
Of course.
Jumped into the family business. It was great. I learned a lot. Worked there for about 7 years. On the floors, on the forklift, loading the trucks, into the sales as well, customer service, up to actually assistant branch manager just before I left. The best part about that was that I really love the sales side.
For sure.
Dealing with people, getting out and about. I just loved it. So when I left there, the goal was to try and stick within the sales industry and, stick within people and all that kind of thing. So I actually applied for quite a few different, sales roles in that, and the boys were the first to kind of call me up. Mm-hmm. So came down and had a coffee with Roop.
For sure, as you do. Everyone starts with a coffee with Roop.
Yeah.
I like that. Everyone starts
with a coffee. He took me down the road, coffee with Roop. And then, I can actually remember because I asked him how the pays in real estate worked.
Yep.
And he said, if you don't sell, you don't get paid. And I thought, fuck.
Yeah.
I was just like, I can't do that. Coming from a weekly wage.
Exactly.
So. But the more I looked into it, the more I kind of found that the sky was the limit. For sure. There's no cap on it. If you do very, very well, you can just keep growing. Yeah. Which I liked. And that's the kind of side that I saw of it. A lot of people see it as, oh, what if you don't sell? What if you this and all the dangers? And, fair enough. But I kind of just saw it as a massive opportunity. So I thought, let's jump at it and give it a go.
Absolutely. So, and you obviously started with us in 2017, 18? I think
it was.
17 at the end.
At the very end.
Yep.
Yeah, so I started, October. So had only a couple of months before Christmas and then back into it for a proper year after that. Yep.
And I mean, so we're talking 5 to 6 years in the game. I read off a huge amount of accolades for such a young man. You're only, 31 years of age?
31.
31 years of age. Yep. I know you hit premier status before turning 30 as well, which is a huge achievement, being so young in the industry. Look, so we can again just kind of look real estate. It's not an easy graft by any means, mate. What was your driving force? What was your why? So when you started in the industry to really catapult you to where you are now, was it just a work ethic? As you said, did you come from a long line of a working family, or was there something else that was driving you along?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of the work ethic as well. I mean, the old man again's worked for himself ever since he was the age of 20.
Yep.
So we grew up in a family which were just Kiwis, hardworking Kiwis. If you wanted something, you got to go out and work for it, So there was a bit of that, and obviously I always like to keep pushing myself and consistently growing, every day, every week, every month, every year. So for me, naturally, I just saw it as a healthy challenge and just wanted to keep pushing at it as well.
That's interesting, and I love the way that you just framed that, a healthy challenge.
Yeah.
A lot of people, that come into this industry and they see it as definitely a challenge, sometimes an unhealthy challenge because of the way that it can affect our mindset in terms of being in real estate.
Yep.
You see it as a healthy challenge, which is that something that means that kind of the harder the work, the more it makes you, in terms of the way you feel, health is wealth and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, I just think that if you're in your comfort zone, you're not growing. And if you're put under pressure, obviously, like I say, again, healthy pressure, healthy competition, whatever it may be, that's where you really learn about yourself. That's where you can learn new skills and grow as a person and keep progressing. So I always like to try and put myself in those situations where you are still obviously continuing to grow.
Well, it's a great mindset to have, isn't it? And it's very much evident of the people that do so well in our industry is getting into the uncomfortable zone as opposed to sitting in. And it's all facets of our business. I mean, you nailed it on the head. It's commission only business. If you don't make the sales, you don't get paid. That in turn makes you also want to work harder for your vendors because if you're getting them the best price, it's incentive based. You're getting recognised for your work as well. What would you say one of the biggest challenges, if anyone was watching this now trying to get into real estate in the 6 years that you've been here, what's one of the biggest challenges that you think you've had?
I think the biggest challenge can probably actually come down to your own mindset. To be fair, I had a lot of time. Well, not a lot of times. I had one moment within my first year. Got a few listings when I first started, went really, really hard. And then obviously we hit winter. It was that traditional real estate where the listings dropped off. Everything went a bit quiet through winter, pre-COVID market, everything like that. And I thought, far out, I don't really have anything coming up. But I said to myself when I got into the industry, I was going to give myself 12 months. And I wasn't going to make a call no matter what was happening, what I was going through. I just had to stick it out for a year because I felt that was a good enough measure for me to be like, okay, this is actually working. I can see momentum happening. Or no, I can't, right? And I'm going to go try something else. So for me, I think it's really important to just keep in mind that it's a long term, it's the long goal. It's not just you jump into real estate, mate, and within your first 6 to 12 months, you're making six figures.
For sure.
I mean, yes, some people may, but most of the time, you've got to kind of grind out that first year or two. And I think the biggest thing to focus on would just be to remind yourself that and just keep pushing because it will come. I was told when I first got into the industry that the first year is the make or break. Second year is like, okay, this kind of works. And then third year is like everything triples. And that's literally how it happened.
It's funny, isn't it? Because, in terms of a training mechanism as well, those are the things we say. Consistency is key. Persistency is key. Being able to break through those barriers. You've mentioned mindset a few times, even in this quick introduction. And I want to go back to that. What are some of the things you practice in terms of, because we all know you've got to be self-motivated in this game. What are some of the things you practice to have a healthy mindset?
Yeah, I guess it's a mix of everything. I mean, for me, it's the whole picture. It's like, I mean, mate, you would have seen even down to like healthy diet,
for sure,
fitness, exercising the body and the mind. It's kind of just a lifestyle, I guess, which helps me toward everything that I'm trying to achieve. I feel like if you're not putting the right gas in the tank, mate, you're not going to be able to perform, So it's just everything in terms of your whole kind of outer circle, whatever you want to call it, just counts to how well you do and how well you perform in the real world. So,
for sure. Mine, and I'll throw a little bit of Chip McCabe on this one as well, because when it comes to mindset, for a fact you've been working with me for 6 years. I'm massive on it as well. One of my ones is also the little things. Is giving self-recognition to the little micro goals that you achieve. So, and even the bigger ones, we have a ritual whenever a deal is closed. We typically have like a very nice bottle of something, and that's only to be opened, once the achievement has been made, so it might be a little nip out of that. What about yourself? Do you have anything that, little things that you work towards, little micro goals that you have set as part of your business plan?
To be honest, not that I can really think
There you
of.
go, mate.
Yeah.
So here we are. We're doing a live session, Dr. Phil. You can get some of that into your business, and away we go, mate. I know what to buy you now for Christmas. I'm going to go and buy you a little closing bottle.
Yeah, that's actually, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm a big fan of that. I'm all about that.
It's all about, but you're right, it's all about, healthy mind, healthy body, and understanding that we are going to have ups and downs. You're definitely going to have ups and downs in this business. All right, let's take it away from you and I, and obviously as agents. Look, we wanted to set the standard here that we do know what we're talking about. $100 million in sales. We're crossing $2 billion in sales for Ray White Kemeys Brothers since we started in 2012. It's the biggest question we always get. I want to give the audience a little bit of a throw out on this, because there are people that are worried at the moment. They're reading things on Facebook, and they're reading things in the paper, and they're watching the news. Ryan Baker, how's the market?
How's the market? The big question, we get asked it all the time. I think as of late, it definitely feels like it's bubbling away.
For sure.
Things do definitely feel like they're turning and changing. We've seen that on various different fronts, from obviously open home numbers, the amount of offers that we're seeing coming in. We're having buyers that are missing out on properties. I've been dealing with a buyer who's missed out on 3 properties now, and she's just like, look, the next one we get, I'm just going to offer it my max amount of budget that I can spend.
For sure.
So whereas once upon a time it was like we were kind of scrambling to get buyers through properties, right?
Yes.
I mean, we've seen the stock levels on the market come down hugely.
I think they're in the hut at the moment, 290 or something, well under that 300. And I think when we were peaking in the middle of last year, when there was a flurry, obviously finances the banks were drying up in terms of the amount of lending, triple CFA, inflation was through the roof. Yep. We got up to around that 600 level. So we're under half the stock that we had this time kind of last year.
Yep.
Not to interrupt, but is that having an effect? I think you mentioned open home numbers. Are you starting to see a few more people around having a look at properties?
I think so, because I think once upon a time it was like, a buyer could say, they'd come through your open home, you get 2-3 people through your open home, and you'd say, hey, look, are you guys interested in offering? And they say, look, we're going to go and look at the 10 other properties that are exactly like this home before we make an offer. And it was a case of the cheapest house on the market kind of getting the sale.
Yep.
So that was where there was that race to the bottom, and prices were dropping and falling so quickly. But obviously now, with the listings that have dropped off, or the number of listings on the market have dropped right down, the buyer pool are now squeezed through what properties we do have, and that's where you are seeing that competition. So it's definitely changing.
Are you seeing multi-offers coming back into the market?
Yep.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
I mean, a few examples is Myro Street, the one in Woburn, nice property, but that was 9 or 10 offers in the end, you know. So
and I think Cole Kormakowski just had something in Nainai that got 15 tenders.
Yeah, there was.
15 tenders, that's a huge, in terms of scale of where we were. And then also luxury home in Woburn, still accumulating 9 offers at the deadline. So it does say that there's more activity coming back into the market. What do you, now, crystal ball question, because, I know we've got an election coming up, and without getting too much in the politics, don't get in the comments, guys. Okay, we're not going to talk about who you're voting for, by the way. Put that out there. Anyway, leave that to interpretation. As we do know, though, regardless of who gets in, who doesn't get in, every party has a policy in terms of what it comes to housing. What do you think is going to happen, though, post the election?
It's a hard one. Obviously, it depends in terms of who gets in and their policies and everything like that, like you just said. But I think that obviously, coming into that new year, I've been talking with a few brokers and bankers and that kind of thing as well.
For sure.
And they're definitely forecasting that the interest rates, even though they have still been creeping up a little bit with that OCR holding, they are forecasting that they will hold and maybe trickle down a little bit next year.
For sure.
And with that kind of being out in the marketplace, I think that is, again, putting a bit of confidence in the buyers. I mean, we kind of saw, even when the OCR got halted, the buyers, the confidence came back straight away.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. I think if National got in and they do the policies in terms of, changing
interest,
all the
rebates again and for the investors,
we may see the investor market come back a wee bit.
Yep.
Because that's definitely paused at the moment.
For sure. For us as field agents, we know that the market can change, incrementally, day by day, like week by week, month by month. If anything, since 2020 to where we are now has shown us, going through a pandemic where everyone thought 70% house price decreases and it did the complete opposite. We went up and then we've come back down, and then now we've gone through record inflation, and it's important for vendors, sellers and buyers and what have you, anyone out there to understand that this is a week by week play. The game that is real estate. It's not just something that, this happens over here and it has an effect. It's everything that's having an effect. I think I said in my training the other day, I was like, think of it like this. There's 14,000 real estate agents in New Zealand, thereabouts, okay, across all different brands, what have you. Now, think about the amount of property that they represent at any one point in time. And then think about, let's even say half of those, 7,000 of those agents may be negotiating on a property deal right now. Those emotional decisions that they're making, that the agent is in charge of, that is in turn the market right now. Yep. So whatever's happening in your local area, it might be deterred by the person down the street that's a seller. That might be a bit, they might be a bit, they're holding off a little bit more, or it might be deterred by the person that just wants to get out of their property and they're like, yep, I'll take the first offer that I get. Yep. So there's so many variables when it comes to just the market, and we always label it, how's the market, what's happening in the market. And, it's important for everyone to understand there's, and that's why I believe computers will not be able to sell real estate, because you've got to have an emotional connection. Are they going through hard times? Well, at the moment, we know that they are. Are they going through something like a divorce? Are they going through something like they're moving? Are they downsizing, upsizing? The market is very much an emotional kind of sphere, and it's very important to understand that it's not just barbecue talk. How's the market? Yeah, great, mate. Flip that one over there. It can happen week to week to week. Does that make, you think that makes sense?
100%. Hit the nail on the head, mate. I mean, I was even going to throw it back in your court and say, you've been in the industry, what?
12 years.
12
November.
years, look at that. I mean, you've obviously been through a few different cycles of markets and things like that, and see where you kind of saw things going over the next year or so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember I started in 2011, November 2011, and at that stage we were close to 1,000 properties on the market. And you nailed it before. When you see the peak in stock, buyers have all the choice. That's if there's any buyers around. So I remember, classic tale, I've been in the game for 2 weeks, and in those days you'd have a buyer. What's your budget? Well, my budget's 350, 400. Cool. You'd go to the file cabinet, you get out all the properties that were in the 300 to 400 bracket. Then on a Saturday, you'd go and show them, 12 properties, 15 properties. Oh, yeah, we like this one. We like this one. And in the afternoon, you'd be getting an offer together. Oh, and I thought, this is great. Like, a couple of months in, done the work. I remember calling my father and I said, oh, mate, real estate, this is easy, mate. Just showed all these properties and cracked it. And I remember getting these buyers in, and they sat down and he said, well, yeah, we like this one on Waifatu Road. I said, that's great. And I think the list price on it was 400, and they said, oh, we'll give you an offer. And it was like, 100,000 under, 300,000. And I remember sitting there going, oh, I don't know what to do now. And so I looked at Rupert because he was there with me. And their basic negotiation in those days, well, if they don't like it, we'll go down the road and we'll go to that one and that one and that one and that one and that one. And so it was a very different market in those days. What we did see is we saw that post the GFC, it took a long time. My prediction in terms of what we're going to see, look, I don't think it matters in terms of, who gets into government. I think, having been through three different governments now in my real estate career, the same thing's going to happen. Regardless of who gets in, one part of the country is going to think it's all going to hell, it's Armageddon, right. And for whatever reason they'll sell up and they'll say we're going to Australia because that's always the classic thing, and then the other side will go, yep, well this is great, we'll hold on to our properties, or now that National's in, all the investors, it's pretty, when you look at it, it's not rocket science in terms of having looked at the history of it. The key old thing is as we know, is people still need to sell real estate, people still need to buy real estate, and the greatest thing about New Zealand is it's the backbone of our economy outside of agriculture. It's always been one of the things that you learn early on from your grandparents, from your great-grandparents. Buy a house, get into property. Yep. We know people that have made a lot of money out of property, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. You've got an investment property, and I think that'd be a good, we won't talk about it now, but it's a good topic to talk about in future episodes. Yep. Hey, let's move on. As part of your career in terms of your growing as well, I know that now, you've taken on a few developments. You're actually now the co-listing agent on one of the largest developments in the Hutt region, if not the Wellington region. And I am, of course, talking about Matai Park. How many townhouses in there? It's a commercial, residential mix?
So it comes up to about 80 townhouses in total, and that's obviously with 13 mixed-use units, the rest being just 2-bedroom and 3-bedroom option townhouses. You're right, Chip. It's a huge development over there in Wainuiomata. Great for the community as well. Obviously, Big Desi.
Yeah, of course.
He's on that one. 47 years in Wainuiomata.
47 years in the Nui, mate. You could not find. I reckon if you cut him open, he'd bleed green.
Yep, 100%. But yeah, it's an exciting development, and it's great to be a part of. Obviously, we've got most of it sold. We've got about a third left.
Yep.
And we've actually got settlement for those coming up very soon. So I'm dealing with buyers at the moment that are very excited to get into the new homes.
Talk to me about Faisania Group. Faisania Group, been around a long time now. This is the biggest development in town. What are you buying? I mean, you're obviously buying quality.
Yeah, you definitely are. I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Faisania Group and obviously partnership with Palmer and Cook, they do a great product. Like if I was looking at buying a new build townhouse in Lower Hutt or in the Wellington region, I'd be looking at them first. It's just quality stock. They think about it a wee bit more. They're good to their buyers as well. I mean, as an example, when we were selling those townhouses when they first went to market, there was actually a portion that they didn't want sold to investors because they wanted first home buyers to get into the market. And I think that's pretty awesome.
And they've done some great promotional activity as well, like when you deposit back, for example, which they know goes a long way with first time home buyers. What about deposit in terms of actually putting down? Because most developments want a 10% deposit. What are these guys looking for?
So all you need is a 5.
Yeah.
All you need is 5% deposit. So fairly easy to get into. Obviously, if you're a first home buyer as well, you've got the first home buyer grant. The first home partnership scheme as well through Kaianga Ora. So there's a few options there. It opens things up.
Kaianga Ora has just changed their purchasing criteria, their policy around that as well. And I understand that that's making huge changes in the marketplace. So if first time home buyers were looking at getting into a brand new home, there is that option as well.
Definitely. Basically, if you're a little bit short of your deposit or your purchase price in terms of getting into a new build or existing now, they'll top you up by, I think it is off the top of my head, 20% or 200,000, whichever is the lesser.
That's crazy to think that $200,000 towards deposit on your first home. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so Matai Park, obviously, and we've got a lot of material around that if people need to go and have a look at that. Go to kemeysbrothers.co.nz or otherwise check us out on Facebook. Right, we're rounding off. This has been absolutely fantastic. The listeners want to know though, mate, it's the spring selling season. It's upon us. Even though you wouldn't think it today, it's blowing a gust out there, but hey, that's Wellington. What I want to ask you before we go, Ryan Baker, 100 million in sales, the big dog, he's here, premier agent.
Here we go.
If I was selling my house today or getting ready to sell it in spring, what are some of the things I should be doing? What should I be looking at to get my house and get the maximum amount of dollars I can get? I want all that money for my property. What should I be doing today?
I think it's just the little things. I always say it's not rocket science and it doesn't have to be the big jobs. A lot of the time it's, just decluttering, tidying the place up, doing a bit of painting here and there. I always tell owners, don't go through your home and do a big kitchen and bathroom renovation just to get it sold because there's no guarantee that you're going to get that back. Obviously, if you're buying to do a flip, it's a different story. But I think the little things, like obviously it's your family home, you've lived in it, the walls and the corners get little nooks and, paint chips and everything like that, going through and getting those all fixed up. Staging is a great option as well.
Absolutely.
Partial staging, full staging if you're moving out of the property. Mowing the lawns, making sure the place smells nice.
It's always
and that's the thing. I think just not overthinking it. Just going for the finer details. Nothing too massive. But hey, if you do want any tips or tricks, mate, give me a call and I'll come around and exactly.
Look what he did there. You see that? That's why he's so good at what he does. Don't listen to me on this podcast, mate. Just get me in. I'll tell you what I need to do. If I could throw my 5 cents, 2 cents in there, I would say get some mates around to your house. You said, you did mention it. We become oblivious. Get some mates in, put some cheese and crackers on, give them a couple of wines because it'll get them actually honest. Okay, don't be afraid of some constructive criticism. And then step outside and get them to walk around as if they were coming to an open home and they were making notes as buyers. You know what I mean? And then take that constructive criticism. And like you said, most of the time it'll just be little stuff. I touch up the paint over here, get rid of the cobwebs in the corner. Maybe under the range hood, get all that fat and grease under there because it's making
sitting there for 10 years,
making a bit of a stench. Get in there. But fantastic advice. I think it's just the little things and just tidy it up. Street appeal is a big one as well. Street appeal. Make sure it looks fantastic when they're walking up to the home. The first thing they want to see is that, oh my God, I can't wait for my friends to come to my house.
I think another one actually as well that I quite often use is most of the time when we go into a listing presentation or to talk to someone about preparing their home for market, they're already looking at properties that are on the market.
For sure.
And obviously when you're a buyer, you're going through a property with a fine-tooth comb.
Handy.
I sometimes say to the owners, look, put yourself in the buyer's shoes as if they were walking through your property, if you were purchasing your own home, and actually look at it through a different lens.
Yep.
And then you might start noticing these little things. So just trying to flip it around a wee bit. So sometimes that works quite well as well.
Mate, absolutely fantastic advice. And you're getting it, ladies and gentlemen, for free from the premier agent himself. Or maybe not. Maybe you get him in there and you get the real job done. Hey, Ryan, thank you so much, mate. Really excited about our new podcast.
Very excited.
We're going to have guests.
We are.
We're going to have some guests on this thing.
Do we do a little like Q&A request?
We do? Yeah, absolutely. Well, mate, take it away. You're the co-host, mate. Tell the audience what they need to do.
Well, I mean, just send through some. Are we going to have how are they going to put their questions through? Is that just on the comment section, or is
what we'll do is you can either do it on the comment section, or you can send an email to ryanbaker@raywhite.com. All right?
There we go.
We'll put it in the thing.
Q&As, if you guys want to send through anything, if you want to know anything, let us know. Maybe we'll get some guests on. Maybe we'll go through the Q&As next time as well.
Absolutely.
And tell the people what they want to hear.
And guys, when we're talking about questions, it can be anything. It could be finance. It could be legal. It could be building. It could be just, as we were talking about, getting my home ready for sale. What are the things I should look at? It could be method of sale. What's better, auction, tender? You've got a world of resources at your disposal. And as you said, it's not just us. We'll get some experts on here to talk all things real estate because that's what we're here to do. Ryan Baker, mate, always a pleasure, never a chore. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chip.
Very excited about this podcast and the future of it. And as we're going to round off and finish every single one of these podcasts in true auction form, we are, my friend, gone.